Welcome back to the Morning Brief right here on Channels Television. And we started off by giving you joy on the program, and we're continuing with that. But this time around, focusing specifically on, that aspect of the conversation, enjoying everyday life. And it's so important because there's so much around us that, may want to get us on the downside of life. I mean, recall the stampedes back to back on the same day last weekend, and happening amid Christmas. That is a time for celebrating, for giving, and for sharing. So how do we enjoy everyday life amid so many challenges? Joining us to have this conversation this morning, we have Mr. Tomiisin Balogun. He's known as the Joy Merchant and founder, Joy Headquarters, emotional wellness counselor, coaching masteries practitioner, United States of America. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Mrs. Tomiisin Balogun. And we also have joining us virtually as well, Bolu Onosoya. He's known as the Joy Apostle, Happiness Life Coach, Transformation Academy, Florida, USA. He's also an occupational therapist, an associate fellow, Royal Commonwealth Society 2014 to 2022. Thank you so much for joining us, lady and gentleman.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Yes. I'm going to start with you, Mrs. Balogun. And it's such an important conversation amid so many things happening around us, and not just the sad weekend that preceded Christmas, but also, the challenges bedeviling the country at this time. And we've talked a lot about mental health on the program. So let's start with reflecting on how to, keep our head above water at this point in time, particularly in homes where there's very little to celebrate during this time. What would be your message to them? How do they find joy where there is none?
Yeah. Good morning once again. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be with you today. So first of all, I want to really empathize with, everyone who is going through a difficult time right now, especially the families who have, lost their loved one and experiencing some form of grief at this time. I really want to empathize with you, and I'm sending you, love and hugs from here. It's not easy, losing your loved one and, just experiencing grief when everyone is experiencing joy. It's the Christmas season, and I just really want to empathize with everyone. So my message will be that there is hope, even in the midst of, everything that is happening. There is hope, and, it will get better. It will get better. There is always light at the end of the tunnel. Even if it seems like everything is dark right now, it's always darkest before dawn. There is hope and there is light that is coming, for you. And I just want to send words of encouragement to every family right there, out there to just, stay, keep hope alive, stay positive. And, be expectant that, joy is coming to you. Joy is still coming to you, no matter what you feel right now, no matter how, sad and, down you feel right now. There is hope for you. And, there is strength, there is strength that is coming for you. You have the ability to be able to withstand, any challenges that you are facing. And the Nigerian spirit is the resilient spirit. We are resilient people as Nigerians. So I just want to send words of encouragement to everyone out there that you should keep hope alive, and strength is coming for you even as you navigate this difficult time in your life. Thank you.
Thank you for those powerful words, and for the virtual hug as well. Very comforting. I could almost feel it from this side of the divide. The same question for you, Mr. Onosoya, and you're also known as the Joy Apostle. How do you manage to retain joy? Because even the most joyful person is not always joyful all of the time.
Yes, thank you so much for the privilege to be here. I'm so excited. And I must say, Tomiisin has done a great job. She did something there. She shifted the atmosphere. And so I'll just speak a bit. You see, life is about 90% perception, right? Meaning that how you see life, your living experience is mostly about how you see life. So and that's what Tomiisin just did. She shifted your perspective so that your perception can change. I'll say that again. She shifted perspective so that perception can change. If life is majority, 90% perception, then what you need to do is always shift your perspective, see things a little differently, and then you be able to appreciate life better. So one of the things I would say to people is always find a way to shift your perspective, and you have to do it with a lot of consciousness. Now, let me just give you a bit of statistics. That the human mind thinks about between 12,000 to about 60,000 thoughts every day, and about 80% of these thoughts are negative thoughts. Now, 90% of these thoughts are repetitive. They are repetition of what you thought about yesterday, last week, or last year. So if a person is thinking that they're not good enough, this thought will continue to come back again and again, and it will continue to condition their atmosphere. And that's why I said Tomiisin she shifted the atmosphere. So when the atmosphere is shifted, it will be difficult for you. If you're always thinking negativity, it will be difficult for you to see the brightness of life. So one of the things I would encourage people to do in this season is to see things differently. Now, let me say this about a person who is enjoying Christmas in the village and another person who is enjoying Christmas in their urban city. They're both enjoying. You see, the description can be different, but the definition is the same. I say that again. The description can be different. If you check a word in the dictionary, they'll tell you the definition and they'll give you the description of how to use that word. And they hardly give you one example. They give you two or three, or because the context can be different, but the definition is the same. So what you're saying is see things differently. If you don't have all the money to do all the fun things that other people are doing on Instagram, find a way to shift your perspective, see the definition. You just want to have a good time and use whatever you have to have a good time. All right. So once perspective is shifted, perception changes. And when perception is changing, then you have a great time and you enjoy the season. And it happens season in, season out, whether it's Christmas or whether it's just when you're working, so yes.
All right, let's take it to Mrs. Balogun. And I'm looking at some of the things you do, emotional wellness counselor and coach. I want you to maybe help us work out, still staying with the trying times we're facing, because people can be easily irritated. People are literally on the edge. People may not be making some of the best of decisions. What you call, like, I'm trying to look for the right word now, more like maintaining their, what my colleague will call inner equilibrium, is quite not as easy as it should be, because of some of these externals and internal factors playing in and out, maybe in their head, around their life, and within their spaces. So if someone walks up to you and is having a challenge being as astute as the person should be in terms of emotional intelligence, how would you start the maybe diagnosis and begin to show the person a better path to be able to make the most out of what is available for him or her?
Okay. Thank you so much. So the first thing would be to name your emotions. And, this is what we do in emotional wellness, psychology, and all of that. So you have to be able to understand what you're feeling. What are you feeling? Are you feeling anger? Are you feeling sadness? Are you feeling grief? Naming your emotion is one of the most powerful things that you can do to step out of, whatever uncomfortable emotion that you're feeling. I don't want to call it negative emotion because, in psychology, there are no negative emotions. There are just uncomfortable emotions. So you must be able to understand what you're feeling, because when you are able to name that emotion properly, that's when you can step into the solution, to get out of that emotion. For example, if you're feeling angry, Anger tells you that, you're not valued, you want to feel valued, and so to treat the emotion of anger, you have to start to look at what is the truth. What can I do to feel more valued? What can I do for this person to really understand the value that I bring? That is what brings anger. Sadness, for example, it means that you need connection, If you come to me now and you're sad, and I'm able to diagnose that you're feeling sadness, maybe if I give you a big hug, you feel a little better, than how you're feeling. So I would say the first thing is to be able to name your emotion properly. That's how you can, step into, a solution, feeling better than you're feeling right now. Another thing is, of course, the concept of finding purpose in your pain. Like, it's so important to just like Bolu said, shifting your perspective and, finding purpose in your pain is one of the powerful things that you can do. And how do you do that? You must start to see, your pain as not, you must start to see it as, you must start to see it as an advantage, quote and unquote. There is always a way to see what you're feeling, and you can always transform that pain into purpose. When you look at it, what can I learn from, what is this pain teaching me? What can I do better? What are the lessons that the pain is teaching me? How can I grow from here? So those are some of the things that you need to start to see. Another thing is, cultivating that mindset, that positive mindset is very, very important. You must be able to have that, and that's what we call the mindset of joy. You must be able to understand that no matter what is going on in my life right now, things will get better. That is the mindset of joy. You must always know that, all things, we're people of faith. All things are working together for my good. No matter how bad, the situation is right now, things are going to work out. I might not know how it's going to, play out, but I know that somehow, it's going to get better. And that is the mindset that helps you to attract positivity into your life. That is the mindset that helps you to attract good things in your life. Life is spiritual. There is no way you want to, say it. Life is spiritual. When you have that mindset, where you continue to, and I must say that is not something that you do overnight. You have to constantly practice how to cultivate that positive mindset. You must register in your subconscious, right, that things are going to work out for me. Things are going to get better. Another thing is, reframing your thoughts. Right. Whatever you're feeling, you must be able, if you're feeling some negative thoughts, you must be able to reframe those thoughts and, to be able to get to the root of it and say, okay, this thing that I'm feeling, is it true? Is this thought true? Right. This negative thought, how can I reframe it and make it better? And the last thing is that you have to embrace your spirituality. There is no way you can separate spirituality from psychology. And by spirituality, I don't mean religion. I mean your spirit. Man is a spirit, has a soul, and lives in a body. So you must be able to connect with your spirit. Like, that is the anchor that helps you, that holds you through every, negative circumstance that you are feeling. There must be something deeper than whatever that you're feeling right now. So that anchor, you must always find it. And I would say that is God. You must find, you must embrace, that your faith. That is how you can find an anchor in the midst of every, negative circumstance that you're feeling.
All right, Tomiisin.
Thank you.
Very, very instructive, the points you made. You're a mental health coach. Bolu is also an occupational therapist. And I want to ask both of you, but I'll start with Bolu. This classic question. Right, I think it was in 1650 or 1651, Thomas Hobbes said, man intrinsically is poor, nasty, brutish. The kind of life man lives is poor, nasty, brutish, short, etc. Essentially saying that man intrinsically is bad. Then I think over a century after, Jean-Jacques Rousseau came and said, nah, man is intrinsically good, okay? Forget all the other things happening around, but intrinsically, man is good. So over 400 years after, I want to put the same question to you based on your experience, right? Dealing with people, dealing with situations and all those things. Where do you tilt? Is man intrinsically good? Do you agree with Jean-Jacques Rousseau, or man is intrinsically bad, agreeing with Thomas Hobbes? But most importantly is, whatever side of divide you are on, how do we get man to have good experiences? So if man is intrinsically bad, how do we get man to that side? If man is intrinsically good, how do you maintain that? Bolo, I'll start with you.
Thank you, Kayode, for that. Such fantastic question. You know, man is not good or bad. Man is a product of his environment. So the question is, what environment were these people when they made those statements? You know, so in biology, this is basic biology, there's something called a phenotype. Phenotype is an observable trait of a person. It's a product of two things, the genotype of that person and the environment. You see, so if you must be bad, if you must be good, you must be able to engineer your environment. Because we've come to discover in science that environment has the ability to turn off some genetic coding, meaning that I actually think that I'm fairer than Tomiisin originally by design. Okay, that's a joke. But you see, if I'm in an environment that doesn't turn on that gene, you know, I'll remain as dark as coal. Do you see? So if a man must be good, then he must be able to regulate his environment. Now, the two types of environments, there's an internal environment, which is in mind, and the external environment. Do you know that people can be environment? In fact, a child, when a child is born, the first environment that child has is the mother. Do you see? Not just the physical ecosystem, but the mother is an environment. The child is looking at the mother, looking at the parents, looking at how they're emoting, the emotions, looking at their faces to understand what life is. Do you see? So you must be able to regulate your environment to be able to be good. But ultimately, a man is a product of his environment, whether internal or external. So if you're highly performing in society, maybe you have high health, self-esteem, you're very confident because you have a very decent internal environment, or the external environment, you get a lot of validation and all of that. So regulate your environment and you're good.
So, Bolu, looks like you're tilted towards the nurture bit of the nature versus nurture, philosophical argument. It's funny, we're just getting deeper into this. But Tomiisin, I'll come back to Bolu to find out then, how do you maintain that? If you think that man is a function of your environment, how do you... Some say create your environment. You're like, how do I create my environment? I can only afford rent in this area, for example. So you want me to... But let me come to Tomiisin. What side of divide do you belong? He has escalated this to the nature versus nurture, saying you're a product of your environment, not a product of your genetics. But intrinsically, is man good or bad for you?
Absolutely. Man is neither good nor bad, depending on depending on where man is coming from and the perspective that man is speaking from. Just like Bolu said, you can't say, man is good or bad. You can't pick one or both sides. It depends on, the perspective that man is coming from. What is spoiling that thought? What is spoiling that decision? What is happening within you, that made you to conclude that, okay, man is bad, and many times when we come up with philosophies like that, it always depends on what is happening around us, at that time. You come up with like a breakthrough, quote or something, and by the time you start to think about it, you find out that, okay, this person was going through something when he actually wrote this, or when he actually said this, or this person was experiencing some form of ecstasy, and because of how life has been good to him, and he said, okay, yeah, mine is good, and this person experienced another level of painful experience, and it says man is bad. So it always depends on where you're coming from on this, side of the divide. And, I would always say that no matter what you're experiencing, whether you're experiencing the good side of life, or the bad side of life, you can always, nurture your joy, regardless of it, whether it's you're experiencing something positive or negative, you can always find your joy again. You can always, maintain your joy or find it again, no matter the side of the divide that you have. Yeah.
Amazing and very, very deep. We could keep expanding this conversation and be surprised at the depth of the knowledge that we will discover. But we must anchor at this point, and we hope that we have the opportunity, to share on these important subjects again and how they all tie together. But we must thank you very much, gentleman and lady, for joining us. We've been talking with Mrs. Tomiisin Balogun, who is a mental health coach. She's known as the Joy Merchant and founder Joy Headquarters. We've also been talking with Mr. Bolu Onosoya, the Joy Apostle, Happiness Life Coach, Transformation Academy, Florida, USA. Thank you so much for coming through for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
And so, when the heart is at rest, there's something else that also refreshes the spirit. It's jollof. We'll be back after this time out to talk to you about the meals for the season. Stay with us.